Hey everybody, it's Marshall Monkey here. This is going to be my The Flash Season 3 Episode 15 review. There was a whole lot of stuff to talk about, including the Savitar origin story. So we kind of got a few hints here and there of what happened to Savitar. There was a whole lot to do with all the characters this episode. This was especially a huge Wally episode, but there's going to be a lot of spoilers. There's spoilers in all the videos, but this one's like really spoilery because it has a lot of details of what's going on with some of the characters, like big time. So let's talk about it. Huge things going on with Savitar this episode. I feel like Savitar was like more like detailed in this episode in terms of like what his life was like. Wally has been sent into the Speed Force. That's a huge Easter egg in itself, so we'll talk about that a little bit first. We'll talk more about it near the end of the video. But Savitar has used Wally. We'll talk about the whole plan again, like in the middle to near end of the video. But the Easter egg kind of points to Crisis on Infinite Earths. If you've ever read the storyline, it's where Barry gets sent into the Speed Force. So Barry is sent in there instead of Wally. And Wally is holding Barry's costume. Like in this episode, Barry was holding Wally's part of the costume with the lightning bolt on the chest when he was sent into the Speed Force. So that's kind of an Easter egg for Crisis on Infinite Earths. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about it near the end of the video, but we had to jump into more of the details of what happened in the episode. Especially in the beginning of the episode, where Barry and Jessie help Wally train. So in Central City, this is actually really cool, because I like this shot here, where it's like, welcome to Central City, home of the Flash, and Kid Flash. Where's Jessie's name on the poster? Maybe the public hasn't met Jessie yet. But anyway, Barry and Jessie help Wally train. So Wally had to go through a lot this episode. This is more of a Wally episode anyway. But in this episode, Wally has these hallucinations, not only of Savitar, but Savitar also uses his own mother against him, which was like really dirty. It was the dirtiest, cruelest thing I've ever seen. Crueler than like Jean using Alex's dad against her and Supergirl. So it kind of like works hand in hand. The DC TV verse is doing a lot of that recently. But Savitar, huge threat to Wally. Loved the hallucinations, but Wally lied this whole time. So last week's episode, we saw that Wally lied about Savitar. Like he saw a Savitar, and in this episode they confirmed he lied about it. So what happened probably was that he went to go get Big Belly Burger for Jessie and just kind of like went back home and then continued watching their movie. I don't know what happened for sure, but it seems like he just lied about it and then just got the Big Belly Burger anyway. So he hasn't told anyone, like not even Jessie. Jessie didn't know that he was having these hallucinations. I thought that was crazy. We had a lot of like big bomb drops with characters. We had a lot with Caitlin. There was the weird, crazy seance referenced meetings they had with Savitar in this episode through Julian. So there's a lot of twists in this episode that were really just unbelievably crazy, and I like that. I think that the Flash is turning it up to an 11. Again, the beginning of the season, if you go back to my reviews, I had issues with them, like the beginning episodes, but it's just full throttle throughout these few episodes, and I'm loving it. So now that Wally has been sent to the Speed Force, next week's episode, Barry's going to be going back into the Speed Force, and I feel like all of the guilt is going to go not only on Caitlin, and we'll talk about all of these storylines, but I feel like Barry's going to have so much guilt this season especially. Remember back in the Killer Frost episode where Caitlin talked about how Barry messes up everyone's lives. So this is kind of adding on to that pile, and I love how they're really, pushing it on Barry. Again, Caitlin has some of that too. Cisco, I think, may have a little bit here and there, but Barry should have had so much between Cisco's brother dying, between, all the Flashpoint stuff, between, Wally being in the cocoon, like Caitlin being Killer Frost. There's so much here, but we have to talk about Savitar and Barry's fight. So Barry fought Savitar. Barry was able to get a few, hits on Savitar. So, he was able to fight him. Even though Savitar's way faster than Barry, he's still able to fight Savitar, which is what I like about that. I like that they can still fight each other. But they've changed Savitar up a little bit. Savitar talks about how Barry pretty much created him in the future. That's where they're setting Savitar from. And in the comics, Savitar is just a normal person. He really isn't this speed god. I mean, he becomes powerful with the Speed Force and with his speed, but he starts out normal, and then later on in the comics, he becomes Savitar, after being a normal person. So he, I think, left a long while back ago, and then they just brought him back in Rebirth, I believe. So they brought him back now. and it's pretty cool to see them do him in the comics at the same time as they're doing him in the show. We see Savitar's followers this episode. It kind of goes, again, hand in hand with the Savitar plot, where they brought him back this episode by accident, of course. They had the whole box. It was great to see them kind of explore that. Caitlin is the reason why, well, kind of the reason why he's back. We'll talk about that again. We'll get to everything. But I love when Wally has Cisco take him into Iris's, well, not Iris's dream. I was about to say Iris's dream, but Iris's future, where she gets murdered by a Savitar. I loved that part. That was so intense, because when Wally comes out of that, he drops the engagement bomb. Again, so many bombs dropped between all of the characters, so it was great to see all of them kind of reveal these secrets. And one of my favorite secrets revealed in the episode is the prophecy coming true. One of them will betray the others. So Caitlin betrays Team Flash by having the stone, like having the Philosopher's Stone, with her the entire time. So Barry did not throw it into the Speed Force, or else Savitar would have already been back. So Caitlin kept the stone this entire time to see if she could get rid of her powers. Bomb dropped. Are you kidding me, Caitlin? Are you kidding me? Danielle Panabaker, what is wrong with you? Carrying the stone around trying to get your powers off. Like, so annoying. And this is really crazy because, again, this is Iris's life. So Caitlin risked the life of Iris just so that she could get rid of her powers. That tells you how afraid Caitlin really is of these abilities. So it's going to be really crazy seeing how everyone reacts. Caitlin will be really guilty for the next couple of episodes, maybe even the whole season, because it's just so much for her. Like, she's messed up so many times trying to get rid of her Killer Frost abilities. I think that she's going to become Killer Frost anyway, but what if she overcomes her evil personality and then uses her powers for good and becomes like a good version of Killer Frost? So that would be really cool. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens exactly to Caitlin. The writers are making it very hard for us to read that storyline, so we'll have to wait and see. But it was really great seeing Caitlin betray them all, so I love that. Now let's talk about Wally, because this scene was intense. So Wally, in this episode, his mom came to him in a vision, like a hallucination, and he hallucinated her the whole time. But it was actually Savitar playing with Wally's head. So he manipulated Wally into doing all of these things, and it was great seeing that. It was great seeing everyone kind of dive into those relationships, but Wally had the hardest one of all, which was his mother in that scene. So I love that, but the engagement is off. So they're not engaged anymore. If you guys don't know, they get married. They even have the grandson, Bart Allen, in the comics. That's him right there. They will get married eventually. Like, you know, they will get married. Barry and Iris will get married, but not yet. But their engagement was off in this episode, so they broke it off. Wally, at the end, threw the stone into the Speed Force. So the Philosopher's Stone is thrown in the Speed Force. Savitar returns. So this kind of, again, leads to that Easter egg, so we'll talk about it more. So Wally, at the end of the episode, gets sucked into the Speed Force. This was a huge scene that happened in Crisis on Infinite Earths. If you haven't read that story, it's kind of a big storyline, and not a lot of people loved it. I mean, some people loved it, some people didn't. But in the storyline, Barry gets sucked into the Speed Force. He kind of dissipates, like it was really weird. It's hard to explain, but he leaves his suit behind, like the Flash suit, and then that's, again, in the panel that we saw earlier in this video, Wally holds the suit. So Wally was left behind, and not Barry. So I loved how they turned the tables on that Easter egg. Like, that was really fun seeing Wally get sucked into the Speed Force. But what did you guys think of the episode? Comment down below. What do you think is going to happen to Wally? Like, will he come back by the end of Season 3? Will we have to wait till Season 4 to see him? Next week, we see Barry go into the Speed Force, so we might see what's going on once he goes in there next week in the next episode. But what did you guys think of the episode? Comment down below. I'd love to see what you guys think, and I'm going to do some more videos next. I have Riverdale coming up. I just posted Deadpool 2, so all those are coming eventually. But don't forget to scream this video out by sharing it on your social media and telling all your friends. I'd love to get some more viewers up in here and some new subscribers. Don't forget to like and favorite this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys later for the next video. Bye-bye.